Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Natalie, and this is going to be all the fantasy books that I have been reading over the past few months. I've actually read quite a bit. Like, I work full time, I do nails on the side, so I don't always have time to read, but this year, I don't know, I've been on it with the reading. I'm gonna have the help of my trusted Goodreads as well to remember all of them, because some books I borrowed and some books I've given away for people to be able to read, so I don't have them all. Let's get into it because we've got a few to get through. We're going to start then with the Powerless series by Lauren Roberts. I love this series. I've not finished Fearless yet. I'm about halfway in with Fearless, and that one I'm understanding why some people are like not really happy with it. I didn't realise that this was a finished series. I thought it was an unfinished one, so that's why I took so long to read Fearless, because I wasn't ready to let my boyfriend Kai go. But in Powerless, I really loved it. You see the yearning of Kai for Payden, and honestly, if you love a book with yearning, I would pick this series up. Like, the yearning is there, oh my gosh. But in Powerless, this is where Payden, she is an ordinary, she possesses no powers, and the king in, is it Ilia, I think it is, wants to get rid of every single ordinary, anyone who doesn't possess powers, and he says that they're gonna end up ruining the elites, like they've got a disease, so get them out, and the elites are in agreement with that, like within the kingdom. Payden hates the king, understandably so, and for other reasons as well that I don't want to give any spoilers, so I'm not going to get into. But she hates the king, and she ends up saving Kai when he comes to the slums where she lives, and Kai is the prince, and she ends up in the purging I think it's the purging trials, I think it's called, that the kingdom holds. And yeah, you see her and Kai getting close. You see her getting close to Kit, which is Kai's brother, who is the heir to the throne. This angers the king. She basically lies about being an elite and has to use the training that her father gave her to seem as though she has powers. And then you see her just navigating through these trials, sort of Hunger Games-esque, as an ordinary amongst elites, to see, yeah, who can win that. I don't want to get too much into it and what happens, because again, I'm not going to spoil it, but that's what's in this. And in this, we've got like Kai and Payden, where Kai has to bring Payden back. She's been on the run, and you see like a nice back and forth between them, and a bit of a difference between their relationship, where what happens at the end of this affects them in this. But again, like, just I loved Reckless so much, and the end of it I was like, oh my gosh. So I really recommend it. If anything, even if you don't like the last book, these two books genuinely I thoroughly enjoyed. The next books that I read was The Folk of Air by Holly Black. This is a trilogy, but I feel like there's so many other books like offset from this and stuff. So I've not read Queen of Nothing, so I'm not going to include that, but I have read The Cruel Prince and The Wicked King. I hadn't seen anyone speaking about this, like I've not seen any videos on it, so I went in quite blind, but I did think it was meant to be romantasy. It wasn't given romantasy. This is political, and I sort of felt like I needed to be writing things down to like be able to keep up and understand it, and I can't remember the names of the characters. Once I close a book, that's it for me. I don't remember the name of characters, and I really don't remember the name of characters in this. Jude possesses no magic whatsoever, and she has a twin sister, again possesses no magic, but their older sister does. This is the most confusing thing in the world, but they were taken, their mother ran away from like this magical kingdom and ended up going back to living with humans, and then the father of the oldest sister came and collected them, and they've all been back. That is the worst explanation, but again, without any spoilers, because even though it happens very early on in the book, but it still was very like for me, so I don't want to ruin that sort of surprise element for anybody else. And yeah, it just shows Jude just being bullied in school for not having, you know, any sort of power. So she's power hungry now, like she wants that power. She'd love to see the people that bullied her and treated her so badly like be less than her in that sense. So yeah, it's basically her trying to get this power that comes with the throne. Carden would be an heir, I believe, to the throne, and he's like her main bully. This is just the worst explanation I think I could ever give. This book is political. It's all about power, and everyone wants this power to be able to be the king. You see it between the children who are the heirs to the throne. You see how far to extents they will get, and you see Jude really struggling with wanting to have some form of power and seeing how she could get that. There's betrayal in this. There's a little bit of romance, but not very much. But like, it's very much like when you get it, you're like, oh, I want more, but you don't get more at the same time. I don't know. Either way, I've been enjoying it, but it is a lot to take in. Like, you genuinely have to lock in when you're reading this book, and I feel like if you're reading it, you read just that. Otherwise, now when I go into the Queen of Nothing, I'm gonna be really confused. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like I'd have to start again. Okay, so now we are over to Goodreads, because these are the books that I've either borrowed or I've given away for people to read. First one is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent, and I actually really enjoyed this book, and I do need to get the second book to it, because how the first one ended was very like, oh okay, like bit confused on how we've sort of got here. This is between human and vampires, and we've got Araya and we've got Rain. So Rain is the MMC, and then Araya is like the human female main character in this. And in this, again, it's a set of trial games that they have to go through and play. And again, she's human amongst vampires, like we know how that goes. However, I must say it is the relationship that's built between Araya and Rain that I absolutely loved. And then it comes to a point where eventually they're gonna have, one of them is gonna have, well, they're gonna have to both try to kill one another to be able to win the games and move forward. At the end, Rain makes a bit of a sacrifice for Araya because he loves her, and again, like, he's a vampire, he's lived like 500 years, she's just at the beginning of her life, and I don't think Araya is too happy with it. And then we'll get into that in the second book with how their relationship unfolds and what their relationship becomes because of what Rain has sort of sacrificed by the end of the first book. But that's as far as I can sort of go into that. However, it is like a really good book. It gives you that Hunger Games feeling. It's definitely got, what other book does it remind me of? It reminds me a bit of like Reckless with the purging trials in that. I do feel like sometimes with these books, honestly, I do think that I'm holding every book to the standard of Throne of Glass, but I find that a lot of these, they don't get my heart beating and racing. Like, for example, Kingdom of Ash, my heart was beating when I was reading that. Like, I would have to like put the book down for a second and collect myself before I could keep going. And I don't really get that with the rest of these books, and I sort of miss that feeling, but I did still enjoy that. I think on Goodreads, I didn't rate this one, but I probably would have rated it like a 4 or something. I've read House of Earth and Blood, which is Crescent City #1. I gave that 3 stars. I genuinely was sort of struggling with that one. I think it was like the idea, and this is what it looks like. I think it was like the idea of the technology being there in the book that I struggled with, and I don't know, like I just kind of struggled with the book. I think I struggled with understanding, and I felt like there was just so much that I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. But I can't deny that it was a good read, and especially I find a lot with Sarah is that it's the end of the book, obviously that's the best, but like those last 100 pages where I'm like, whoa, like what is going on, and where it kind of gets your heart beating. But yeah, I'm sticking with this series, and I'm gonna not fight through it, but I'm gonna get through this series because I've read Throne of Glass, I've read ACOTAR, we've got the 6th book of ACOTAR series coming out, and I know that this ties it in because I think there's talks of Nesta that comes in once we get to things like House of Sky and Breath and stuff. But I did still like the book. I would still recommend reading the book, especially if you've read the rest of that like multiverse. I've got my Fourth Wing, my Iron Flame, and my Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, and I loved Fourth Wing. I think I loved Fourth Wing the most. That was the one that I was genuinely locked in. It was just after I finished Throne of Glass, and I needed something that was nice and easy to read but still giving me like that sort of vibe. Again, if you want to read this, I'd recommend starting it in September, like academia sort of vibe. Like they're in I can't say the name of these places, Basquiat, whatever it is, where they're in college. You've got the Riders Quadrant, you've got like the Healers Quadrant and stuff, but we're following Violet in the Riders Quadrant. She's got like a, I don't know, like, I'm just going to say a disability, it's not a disability, no, she's got an illness, sorry, that makes her a little bit weaker than everyone else. So people are sort of expecting her to not do well. You can kill one another and stuff, but she seems to always come out on top. And although she has this illness, she obviously then has to use her brain a bit more to understand how to be able to stay alive in this college. When she has to fight in the ring as a part of their training, she starts to understand like people's weaknesses so that she can do things such as poison them, etc., so she can win. She ends up being really strong, and she ends up having 2 dragons rather than just one like everybody else, and she has the most powerful dragons as well. And that's all in 4th wing. And then you see her with Xaden. I almost forgot his name, even though I was in love with Xaden like no tomorrow. It's just such a really interesting book without giving away like everything that happens in it. And then we've got Iron Flame. I really loved Iron Flame. Well, I did love Iron Flame. I think it was more Onyx Storm where I started to be like, okay. The end of Iron Flame had me gagged. I was like, what is going on here? Like, everything's going to shits now, isn't it? I'm gonna start getting mixed up with these books, but a lot of things are happening. And this is where like there's a professor that is out to get her, is trying to train her, but to the point of like bringing her close to death. They're trying to separate Violet and Xaden because the truth has been uncovered about outside of their college and outside of where... Guys, I read this quite a while ago, so I can't remember the names for everything, but there's like something that protects them that's around their like region, and outside of that there's like essentially like a war sort of thing. It's not a war, but like a battle sort of thing going on. And because they're protected where they are, the professors are trying to make sure they don't know what's really happening. They've uncovered this truth and have sort of let it be known to everyone what's really happening. So it's to choose whether you want to help out with that or whether you just want to stay behind the walls and be safe. These books are pretty spicy. They've got some spice in it. And then Onyx Storm, you see them go to different, I'm gonna say like different counties because I can't really remember what it is, asking for their help and why they need their help to help with this war that is about to come. And yeah, Onyx Storm, I sort of started to lose a bit of interest. Like I was a bit like, okay, it was nice to get out and go to different areas, I will say. However, I started to kind of lose track. I started to think like, okay. But the next book to come out after Onyx Storm, the 4th book, I am super excited for, because how Onyx Storm left off, I have so much questions. I need to know what happened to like where's Xaden, what happened to Xaden, Violet, 12 hours that she was apparently missing, or like an hour that she was missing, but for her it felt like all this time. There's too much that I need to know. Really enjoyed that series. I think it was really good and I would highly recommend it. But it's hard to talk about these books without spoiling it, you know. I think that's actually all the fantasy books that I've read this year. I also finished the Throne of Glass series. So I read Kingdom of Ash, Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. Just to sort of go over those, Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms, highly recommend doing it as a tandem read. Personally, I don't know about anyone else, I can't stand Cole. I don't give a heck about him at all. So when I'd go back to Tower of Dawn and it was focused on him, I'd literally be like snooze fest, if I'm absolutely honest. So I'm glad that I've done it tandem, because then when it would be Empire of Storms and I'm back with Aelin and Rohan and, you know, all the rest of them, I was back and I was intrigued. It just kind of keeps you awake, especially because these books are long books. They're like 800 pages and stuff, so it's nice to be able to switch between and work through it that way. I will still say though, Tower of Dawn, I did still like the book. Probably not just by itself, but in the tandem read I enjoyed it. I enjoyed when it wasn't focused on Cole. When it was focused on, I can't remember the other woman's name, but when it was focused on everyone else's story and not just him, I loved it. Empire of Storms, loved it. Oh my gosh. And Kingdom of Ash, I shed some tears. Guys, they are literally so good. So many times I had to put the book down just to have a second to just sort of calm myself down. Highly recommend those books as well. That whole series, definitely I struggled at the beginning of the series, but by the time I got to the end I was so sad to be at the end of it. I'd do anything to read it again for the first time. I'm genuinely so jealous of anyone that's reading it for the first time right now. So yeah, that is all the fantasy books that I have read like over the past few months. I don't think there's any that I've sort of read and been like, oh my gosh, no. Like, I've actually enjoyed them all. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Let me know if you've read any of these books, like your thoughts and feels on them, especially things like Onyx Storm, like what are your theories for what we're going to get in the 4th book? Like what do you think is going to happen? If you've read all of like Reckless, Powerless and Fearless, what were your thoughts at the end of Fearless? Because I know like I think it's that book that makes everyone not really like it. So what are your thoughts? But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye.